Hello and welcome to CoinLikes. Today we are going to learn about Td Sequential. What is Td Sequential? Td Sequential is one of the rare indicators. It owes its rarity to ability to calculate momentum, trend, and determine support, resistance, and stop levels. Unlike most indicators, Td Sequential has two parts of operating principles. The first part is the setup part. Momentum-based, it tries to identify price ranges and reversal points. The second is the countdown part. It's trend-based and tries to seize opportunities by taking lower risks. Now, let's see why it will be advantageous for you to use Td Sequential. First, it can work in the different market conditions, and the most importantly, it can adapt to dynamic transitions between the trend market and the horizontal market. Second, it is more sensitive to price movements than classical momentum indicators. It has clear price management rules such as support, resistance, and stop levels. Fourth, it can adapt to any time frame as it monitors price movements. Fifth, it does not have problems such as parameters modification and adjustment. Now, let's take a look at the purposes of the Td Sequential for you. It is designed to solve the inability of classical momentum and the trend indicators to produce consistent and meaningful signals in transition between different market types. It determines the return places of investment instruments that are thought to be in overbought and oversold regions. Traders use it to detect the price returns as low and high as possible. Td Sequential indicator designed by Tom DeMark in the 1970s. In order to use an indicator with so many advantages, I advise you to listen to this video carefully because when the Td Sequential is the first opened, it will put you many complex buy and sell transactions in front of you. Now let's learn how the setup part, which is the first part of Td Sequential, works. If you open TradingView and click Indicators button and write Td Sequential, you can see many of them. In this video, we will use version of Kıvanç Özbilgiç. We recommend you to use that. You can open it simply by clicking. Now let's take a closer look at the indicator. When you open the indicator with its original condition, the setup section greets us. This section consists of green and red counts. Green counts represents sell setups and red counts represents buy setups. What is really meant to be explained here is that if the green numbers are completed up to 9, a downward turn can be expected. Likewise, if the red numbers are complete up to 9, an upward turn can be expected as well. Now let's look at the terms of setup part to better understanding. First, the setup must be from 1 to 9 and must occur in consequential bars. If this state is completed by 9, the second stage, Td countdown, can start. There are separate setups for both buy and sell signals. Countdown is made each time according to whether the closing price of the last bar is greater or less than the closing price of 4 bar before. Downtrends or uptrends price turns are interpreted according to this rule, and the count starts again with 1 at the number where the turn started. Now let's analyze buy setup part. Here we will look at the red counts for buy setup. Don't be confused because the candles are red. Because in the buy setup, it is expectation of the downward movement starting from 1 to 9 and the price change in direction to rise after 9 is seen. As a result of this expectation, a buy position is entered. The number one that starts the counts in the buy setup is the bearish price flip. To understand how cut down starts, let's take a closer look to our candles. Our candles have opening and closing points. For greens, it starts at the bottom and ends at the top. For reds, starts at the top and ends at the bottom. The basic need to start counting from number 1, the last bar is a close 4 bars below the previous close. If even one of them does not comply with this condition, the count is cut off. Let's take a closer look on the example. Right here we have a bearish price flip, aka number 1. Now let's look at the 4 bars ahead of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. The close of our number 1 is 4 bars below the previous candle's close. This is created to condition to start counting. After number 1 is formed, number 2 continues in accordance with the same rule, and the rest of it as well. But as you see here, the setup count is cut off, because the close of this candle is 4 bars above the close of the previous candle. Now we learned for the setup to begin and close. First we will look for bearish price flip with another words number 1. And when the number 1 start counting and when it closes 9 consecutive bars, 4 bars in a row lower than the previous close, buy setup, namely TD buy setup, is completed. As you will see, we have a buy setup here, completed with the all rules. And if we take a buy position in here, as you can see, it's a successful trade for us. Now let's see the sell setup on examples. Purpose in sell setup, it is the expectation that an upward movement starts from 1 to 9 and continues to rise until 9 is seen, and the price changes direction and declines after 9 is seen. As a result of this expectation, a sell position is entered. Starting the sell setup counting is bullish price flip, with another word green number 1 we're gonna use. Now let's look at how the candles must be in the position to begin the sell count. We have a bullish price flip in here, as you can see. Here, for the sell count to show up, the close of the last candle, when we count down, there should be a close above the close of the 4th candle. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you will see, in the last candle, we have that condition. Candles are settled correct. This starts our sell count. The same rule applies for all counts up to 1 and 9. But here, count is stopped, because at the last candles, 4 candles have not closed above the close of the previous candle. Now let's repeat what we learned. Sell setup, start with the bullish price flip, and the count continues up to 9. When the closing values are higher than the previous closing of 4 bars in a row, the sell setup, namely TD sell setup, is completed. So, like in this example, for buy or sell, we will wait for the count to continue without interruption. And when it's completed by 9, we can make the necessary checks and take our position. In here, we have all conditions, and as you can see, if we take this sell position from here, it's a successful trade. For the last part of this video, we will learn perfect sell setup and perfect buy setup. For the perfect buy setup, when the count is completed to 9, lowest level ever seen by candle 9 and 8, it must be lower than the lowest level that the 6 and 7 candle has seen. TD Sequential shows us the perfect buy setup will M9 like this. For the perfect cell setup, when count is completed by 9, the highest level ever seen by candle 9 and 8, it must be higher than the highest level that the candle 6 and 7 has seen. Also, Td Sequential will show us the perfect cell setup with M9 like this. In this video, we learned how to use Td Sequential setup section works. We will continue with part 2 with how to use and make profit from Td Sequential's countdown part. Don't forget to watch it. Learn and earn coin likes. Thank you for watching us today. See you next time.